the Spill the Tea podcast series with my good self, Mystic Mike, Queen Nita, and a new addition, Cephas. Cephas, it's been a minute. Where have you been on God's green earth?
Oh man, it's a long story.
Working. That's the spirit. That's the making some good dough, I suppose.
We're catching up with you guys.
Of course, it's always a pleasure having you,
Mr. Mike.
All right, now folks,
One and only Mr. Mike.
we've got a crucial topic to digest, and it is the issue of paternity fraud. We are having increasing numbers of cases being discussed on air, radio, TV, and across social media platforms. And then for those who don't know what paternity fraud is, it is situations where the identity of a child's biological father is intentionally misrepresented. This can occur through deceit, misinformation, or concealment by the child's mother or other parties involved. So the big question is, why are women and other parties involved engaged in paternity fraud? And with this, I would like to zoom in straight to Cephas, our good man here, to share some thoughts.
Well, honestly speaking, I feel it's a very serious matter. I mean, thank God for DNA tests these days and the technology to, check all those things.
Yeah. And it's cheaper these days. It used to be quite expensive. 20,000, 30,000 back in the day. So now 4,000, 2,000, you can have a DNA test done.
You can imagine.
Yeah?
Can imagine the kind of havoc it would have caused in the past. If and only if it was so accessible.
Back in the
days. But everything has its reasons.
Exactly.
I feel it's a matter of mistrust on the point of or destroying the trust of the man has for his wife. You get me? If you deliberately hide the identity or the original identity or the real father of a child to the man that you've exchanged vows with on an altar, this is the highest level of fraud and deceit.
Yeah.
And you're breaking the trust. And in a marriage where there's no trust, there's no.
It's obvious that when it does happen, the woman has been intimate with another man.
Exactly.
And protection wasn't used. So beyond having illicit affair, aside being a married woman, what could be the motivation for the increasing numbers of paternity fraud cases we are saddled with?
Well, I believe there's the Gans have a saying, Nakeshi, like momocho which means that it could be that even though she's married to you and all that, and she feels you're a good provider, partner, you probably might not be, hitting the target like she expects you to. And then she, especially a woman who's been sexually exposed in her past, and she's had multiple sexual partners, she'll end up comparing and contrasting. And then, notwithstanding the fact that there are some women who are naturally promiscuous because of how their thoughts about sex and all that. So with the promiscuous ones too, they are there. They just don't care. They just want what they gain satisfaction, or what is going to satisfy them for their own selfish reasons. So there's that one too, and then there's I believe there's the ones that also do it for maybe it could be one time that she met someone.
Moment of weakness,
or let's say, for instance, I'm not trying to justify or cover the women, but it's wrong, by the way. What's wrong is wrong. But let's take, for instance, it's a long distance relationship. The husband is in the US. Or
3 years, has not tagged down.
You get me? And body not be fire.
Despite the video calling of taking clothes off, it's still not the real thing.
It's not the real thing. And sometimes, some women too can just some people can't stay with that. And we know all this long distance relationship, the things that run through people's minds. It's not easy. She'll be there, she'll not hear from you, she'll be paranoid, she's thinking, okay, you're doing something behind her back, and then she also starts saying, okay, and then her friends, influence from other people, friends around her say, Charlie Berman, oh, you're sure, said 2 years, 3 years, you're sure, so you'll be in way, or baby, you get me? All those things would
fill the mind.
Would send her, leading her that way, would send her that way. And the next thing you know, she has a baby for someone and she'll pretend as if it's yours. You get me? I mean, if it's one, it's okay. But there are ones that, I mean, in some cases, like
4 kids are not the husband's own.
Can you imagine?
3 kids are not the husband's own.
That one is just sheer wickedness.
It's wickedness.
It's sheer wickedness. Those are the demons.
Principalities.
Sent from the pit of hell.
Anyway, Nita dear, come in, have a bite. What do you make of paternity fraud? And is there any justification for it?
Quite honestly, there are some things that I'm a bit restrained when I want. I'm a bit restrained when I want to talk about it.
But why is that?
I'm not justifying the deeds of women. You get it? But let me put it this way: if it's okay for a man to have children recklessly, okay, and expects the woman he's with, to be compassionate or empathetic towards the oaths that he's sown, right? I think what is good for the goose should be good for the gander.
I don't agree.
However, you can choose to agree or not. Opinions are like noses.
Nah.
However, children by nature start to bond at formation with their mother because they are the carriers. You get it? That is why even when it comes to surrogacy, surrogates mothers tend to find it difficult or have separation anxiety from their babies. And sometimes to the babies, even though they do not have consciousness at the time, also tend to experience some separation anxiety after birth, because like I said, bonding with the mother starts from
birth.
Gestation, not birth, gestation, from the development. That is why it is even advised that at a certain week, like when the fetus reaches a certain week, the fetus has already developed or started developing its hearing senses and stuff like that. And so it is advisable that fathers should start communicating with the fetus.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So at home, you can kneel and be speaking to the child.
Yes.
Okay. The tummy.
Yes.
Okay.
You touch it and all.
As if it's a physical being.
Yeah. And when the mom is interacting with it, it knows. When the father is interacting with it, it knows. You get it? Because men would have to go out of their way to actually develop a bond with a child. With women, it comes naturally. And I'm saying this because no matter how irresponsible a mother is towards a child, regardless of anything that the mother ever does to a child, right? At the end of it, the child finds ways and means to seek closure from their mother. Do you get me? However, when it comes to fathers, no matter how traumatic it is, they move on and they don't look back. As in, the children just move on and they don't look back. because we've had many cases of where children have, even children from conflict countries and all that, who got adopted by other families and stuff like that, have, even after 40 years, 50 years, traced who their mothers are. Do you get me? But when you have even a child from an orphanage who is even made aware, like for instance, the child from an orphanage gets to know his or her parentage, and so is able to trace their mother, and in the effort of wanting that closure, has a communication with the mother, and the mother tends to say that, oh, your father rejected the pregnancy or was not responsible, that led to me taking this decision. You realize that it ends there. That child is not even interested in wanting to look for that father to find closure. All I'm saying is, because it's bonding doesn't naturally come to men, they make an effort to do that. You get me? When a man ends up loving something and you take that thing away from him, you actually destroy his ego. You destroy the very essence of what makes him a man. Do you understand? You can't take it back. You can't take it back. And you know, a friend, an acquaintance once said this to me, that when it must take something drastic to happen to a man for him to have a 360 degrees turnaround of who he is. Do you get me? Be it whether he's kind, he's empathetic, he's caring, he's mean. As saying, if it is not the person's nature to be what he is, but he's the embodiment of what an ideal man should be, but he turns out to be the opposite, then it must, whatever happened was so drastic that it gave him that 360 degrees, like he will never be the same again. And
all
so
right.
I think that for women who basically, let me put it this way, it is a travesty.
All right. So Nita, there, that paternity fraud, a woman misrepresenting the father of a child, is a travesty of justice that must not be condoned or entertained, isn't it, Nita? All right. So the question many will ask is, what happens if a woman lies about paternity? What are the consequences? And apparently, it emerges that if a mother deliberately gives false information to the authorities, which contributes to the erroneous establishment of paternity, she may be fined. So she cannot be killed. She just might be fined. And if the question arises that is paternity fraud a crime in the UK, paternity fraud is not a crime in England and Wales. This type of fraud is a civil wrong which comes under the tort of deceit. Any court proceedings in relation to paternity fraud should be made through civil court. So you might just take it to court for compensation, but she might not even see the inside of a prison, Sivas. What say ye?
Before you come in, I want to say something. If any man legally identify himself as the father of a child, i.e. it is that man's name on the child's birth certificate, even if after the paternity test is done, he is not the biological father of the child, he is still legally responsible towards the child.
Well,
and then also any child born in marriage, whether that child is biologically the child of the husband in the union or not, legally it is the husband's child, and so is legally responsible for that child.
there's a point of information here. What to do if you find out that your child isn't yours? So let's say you had assumed you were a father raising a child, paying school fees, medical bills, feeding, what have you. If you find out the child is not yours using private genetic testing service, you will likely still need to seek genetic testing through the state to prove you are not the father. For sure, you will need to file a petition with the court to terminate the parent-child relationship and your child support obligation. So if you are sure that this is not my child, you need to file a petition with the state to terminate that relationship.
Do you get it now?
Okay, I get it. But is it in Ghana or?
Well, this is general. This is general information of a point of information.
You know, some laws are just common law.
Yes, but
It's
then
particularly
we should bring it home,
yeah.
and see what pertains to Ghana. You get me? Let's be realistic.
Well, I think Neodate Lamte is a well-known case.
Yeah.
You know, when the issue came up and then it was disclosed that he wasn't the father of these kids, so he's moved on to marry and raise another family, and so by inference, he's terminated the relationship with the previous children he thought were the mother.
First, he divorced the woman. And secondly, he officially and legally made it known that he was not the father of the
because
children. So he no longer
in a recent
wants to continue responsibility
he no longer had responsibility
over the kids.
In a recent interview, he was asked that yes, this has happened, but these kids were part of your life for the better part of 15 or 16 years. So does it mean that's it? You go to sleep and you sleep and say, well, nobody knows the future. In the future, we might re-establish contact. So based on the case of Neodate Lamte, it means he has severed that relationship with the kids. Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're looking at it from the legal aspect of it, right? But I mean, like Nita said earlier, the bonding process, the man takes goes through to bond with the kids. It's not easy, you know, getting to a point where you realize these kids you've loved. You've actually gone out of your way to cater for wholeheartedly with the intention of raising better people, better human beings than yourself. And then you find out they are not yours. I mean, the emotional trauma, the stress, the disappointment, it's just too much. If we look at it from the emotional aspect of it, I mean, the legal is there, but it's a whole lot. Imagine coming home
men
to
actually kill because of that.
Yeah, imagine coming home from work, working so hard, doing different stuff just to make sure
they have a quality life.
Yes, you know, provide a standard of living that you didn't even enjoy. You get me? Just so you make sure that you know, like you put it in your mind that, you know, I'm not going to let my kids go through what I went through. So you get me? So I'm going to make sure that they enjoy the best that I have to give and I have to offer. So you sacrifice and you make all the necessary sacrifices just to make sure they have the life that you feel they deserve, only to find out that they are not yours. It's hard. Man.
How would you take something like that?
It's painful.
How would you take something like that?
I mean, for a fact, it's going to be, it's a detrimental thing, right? Like, I mean, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy though. But like the fact
but your temperament, your years of.
But before you continue, why would any man? I get it that maybe if it is the intimacy between the male and the female is maybe a one night stand or a situationship or something like that. But if it is a committed relationship or marriage or, you know, or maybe it is mutual agreement that both of them want to be parents or co-parents or they want to raise a family, but not necessarily having that much of an intimate relationship or, you know, maybe they are having children of convenience, as people have marriage of convenience and stuff like that. All I'm saying is, if it is not a relation, if the child was not born out of a relationship that is of, for lack of a better word, mutual trust, what will make a man want to go for a DNA test on his children? I want to, it's just like me being a woman, having carried a pregnancy and all that, and knowing the risks of children being exchanged at hospital. So for every child that I birth, you get the
Nita,
point. For every child that I birth, then I go for a maternity test just to make sure that indeed this child is my child.
Sure.
I'm just coming from that
perspective. I get what you're saying,
mm-hmm.
but what you're sounding like you're trying to make justifications.
No. I'm not justifying.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying.
want to get into the male psyche,
the thought process behind.
Yes, like the thought process behind the quest.
So, for instance,
to want to have a DNA test done.
If you have kids, right? Mm-hmm. It's because it's you and your partner or your wife who did the do to make sure you bear the kids. They must at least look like you or the other partner, your partner involved. So if they start growing up and they start maturing and you're seeing the traits as not them having features that doesn't depict your features, of course you have reason to question. You get me? And let's say, for instance, you know me, that my family, my lineage. If we go for family meetings, you can tell that these are Lamtis. You can see the nose, which is very pronounced, the ears, and even the smiles and everything. You can see the mannerisms. There's you can see in the family 3 or 4 people have certain features and mannerisms and the way they behave. An uncle that you've never met. You see him and he looks so much like your dad, and even his mannerism and his behavior, you'll be like, yo, this is a family. This is a family thing. I'm in the right place. You get me? So now the kids start growing up and they don't have any of your mannerisms, any of your family's DNA, their features, their characteristics, their way of doing things.
Or they introduce mannerisms that are alien.
Exactly. That's the point. You start questioning.
Alien to what you know.
All those things. And for me, the thoughts behind a woman hiding that it's something deliberate. You're doing it on purpose. You get me? It's not the doing that. Like, for instance, when how ladies say it, when there's a birthday, you buy her something, or your girlfriend, and you don't do anything for her on her birthday, she doesn't feel loved. You get me? And when you do something, the little you do for her, she feels loved not because of the present or the gift you got her, but the thought behind it. You see, so let's look beyond the affair, right? The affair of she doing what she did to have kids and hide the identity from you and all that. But let's go beyond that and look at the thoughts behind it. What drove her to do that? It's pure hate.
Can I say
and disloyalty.
Can I say
and I'm coming up. Let me land. And as a man, men, I'm not speaking for all men, I'm speaking for myself. Me per se, we have our pride and our ego is attached to the things we are able to build. You get me? And our value that we put out there. So if we raise our value and our pride is also attached to the family or the things, the people that we bring up, we raise. So imagine you having kids, raising them, knowing very well that they are yours, being very sure of them, very sure that they are yours, and it turns out the other way. You are shattered mentally. And no man would like to raise the kids of another man.
Under the guy of a lie.
If for instance,
people raise people's children.
Of course. If she makes you aware that, you know what, I have a kid already before this marriage. You are fully aware. You get me? I don't know about other guys, but for me, if I find out something that you've hidden from me or you've heard from me, I get more upset and agitated because I think about the thoughts behind. Because it's not just me finding out. Me finding out there. So what if I didn't find out? That's the question I ask myself. So meaning that if I didn't find out, I would have played the fool for God knows how long.
So based on what you just said,
I'm coming. Nita, let me land. If I didn't find out, I would have played the fool for God knows how long. Thank God that I found out. So now that I found out, the what do you call it? The
reaction.
The fool has become wise. So now, as a wise person, what would I do? Of course, I opt out.
So the question,
I can ask you a
question I want, two questions.
Mm-hmm.
So based on from you, your orientation and your thought process, that for an information to be hidden from you, and so then you find out is deliberate, and so the intentions were not noble. Is that to say that your whole life, since you became a conscious being and going forward as you're a conscious being now, you have never deliberately hidden an information from somebody very dear to you or you love because of what you think the
reaction will be?
Sometimes it's not even the reaction, but perhaps maybe
the consequences,
the trauma or of what would happen.
After you
get
so,
it. And then the second question, I don't know if it's a question or a passing statement, but sometimes if a woman or a female having children for a man happen to have had intercourse with these two men within the same window, the same window
of conceiving.
Conception, and conception happened, and so to her, because she's been with her committed partner, it is assumed that the child.
It is wished. It is wished that he is the one.
Sometimes it can be assumed.
So,
maybe wished, sometimes assumed.
Thank you for your question, right? The first one. Well, first of all, myself, being the question being directed to me, emotional intelligence has taught me that because I don't want to be caught in a loop of suddenness. You get me? And how it makes me feel when randomly something just pops up where it's been kept from me and I end up finding out or discovering. I feel the same way I feel like I owe the other partner, people that are around me, the same responsibility and the same level of respect to share and let them and make them aware of certain things. Because if we are going to be together, and this is, I'm talking in the context of marriage, and this is where we've vowed, we've exchanged vows on the altar, and this is, marriage is not boyfriend. If we are going on the ride and I get tired, I'll just drop you. I'm tired. I'm going again. It's a lifelong thing. So if you're having a partner and you know this partner, you yourself driving away from all the temptations out there, being loyal as a man, and then you find out that your wife has been she's being hammered she's on the streets. You get what I'm saying? You'll be heartbroken. And the value of a man is tied to the what do you call it? How unaccessible his wife or his partner is. If a man is made to look like a fool out there because he loves his woman, he's loyal to her, and then the next thing she's out there and fire this guy will fire him. Fire. You two, group of 5 guys, they've all slept with her. already the value of the woman is down. It already reduces the man's value to down, because it feels like the man is of no value, because your woman is so accessible to everybody. Everybody. I'm talking from a man's perspective. Everybody. Yeah. Unless the men who don't have any value and they don't even care, they don't even know what it's about, they just want to have someone and just be like that, and they're okay with being with a promiscuous girl or something. But a man who is of value and who has a vision for his life and purpose for his life and knows where he's going, he wants his success to be tied to him and the people around him.
So
I'm coming.
What you've said, I want to ask a question.
I'm answering your first one. So let me land.
For you to time
no. Let me land. No. Let me land.
Okay.
Let me land. I can answer your next one. You can ask me again, because it's like 3 or 4 questions coming at a go for the same thing. So yeah. So with that being said, if a woman goes out of her way, right, and do stuff behind your back, first of all, she doesn't have respect for you. And for a woman who doesn't respect you, she can't love you. Because for men, what we want out of our partner is loyalty, respect, and nothing else. We don't want your money, we don't want your love, we don't want anything. Loyalty and respect. And how can you claim you love and respect someone and go sleep with another man? What does it say of you? It tells everyone that you lack morals and you have no values for yourself. Because if you have values, a man that you've exchanged vows with and you've told the world, I mean, he's paid your diary, he's done all the necessary traditional rites and ceremonies, which is to honor you as a woman. You get what I'm saying? You get where I'm coming from? To honor you as a woman. He's put a lot of value on you, placed a lot of value on you by going through that process to ensure that he acquires you legally as his wife. Charlie, the gravity of what we're talking about is very heavy. You know, he's done all the necessary things to acquire as a woman, and then you go behind. What at all did you do as a for the marriage? You get me? For him to, most guys as a responsibility, he would do much of the work to make sure that you have a home. You guys have a home, and then now you go behind his back, sleeping with other men, and not ending it there as just having sex and covering it, but having to a point that you're having unprotected sex, right? To a point that not just unprotected sex, but you allow the men to also come and pour inside you. Hey, what you mean? You get what I'm saying? Like there's a skit I saw. There's a enfengum. Untumi can't almost say more enfengum. What trying? Omu de gumu we was 9 months. I carried the baby, done everything as though it is his. This is beyond fraud. It's just wickedness. You get what I'm saying? So out of if you claim you love someone, and out of respect for the love, out of respect you have for the one you love, you wouldn't be doing certain things and be making committing such atrocities. You get me? Under no circumstances should you feel it's right or it's justified for you to do that. If you feel your man is in whatever capacity is not satisfying you, or you are not okay, it's okay. I made the wrong choice by marrying you, so I've changed my mind. You go through the legal process the same way. The families joined. They brought the traditional way. They brought ensa to your family. Let them take the ensa back to their family and say, "Awarino, jai." Then you go back and enjoy your single life if you feel that is what is convenient for you. You get what I'm saying? Or you feel that's what you want. But then don't complicate your life and your partner's life because if look at it from this angle, you as a woman, as a wife, going out there, being promiscuous, having unprotected sex, only God knows the kind of things you're inviting into your home or you're bringing back into your home. The viruses, the herpes, all those things, the bacteria, all those things.
Men do
I'm coming. Let me justify. The risk you're taking, you're putting yourself and your man into.
With what Nita, you are saying that men also go out there and bring kids to their home and wish upon their wife to accept them. It isn't as easy as it might sound, because there are cases. It isn't as if when a man goes out, births, brings it, then the wife accepts. There are cases where some women have been magnanimous. They've accepted the children that, okay, I'll raise you as part of the household with my kids. But there are instances where wives have targeted kids that were brought in by their husbands, made their life living hell. There are testimonies around.
Of course.
Many people will tell you the hell and the ordeal they went through. So it isn't as smooth as it seems. There are some women who were so enraged and left their marriages because they felt equally betrayed. They felt undone, that the trust and everything was thrown in the dustbin, and so they left their marriages. There are cases of that as well. So it is as if men bring kids into the home and women raise them. So why is it that when a woman also brings it home, they can't live by it? They are so bitter about it. The difference also is that for the man who is bringing the child home, it is he who financially fools the burden. It is he who caters for the upbringing of the child, even though the mother is the mother and so provides food and all that. But it is the man who even buys the food stuff for the meals to be prepared. Okay, but for you, the woman who has gone to bring a child,
in buying the foodstuffs do not prepare it.
Of course, I've acknowledged the role of the processing, the processing
wait.
aspect of the woman.
Wait, let's not deviate from the subject, right? Let's still stick to the core values of marriage, right? The core values means you're with a partner, you're committed to them, you're loyal, you're dedicated. You get me? There's a story that I saw circulating on social media recently. I actually listened to the lady's story, and she was saying, so she ended her 10 years old marriage with 3 kids out of the marriage because her husband cheated, and she found out, only for her to end up dating married men after her divorce from her husband. Now she's dating other people's other married people's husband, just for her own upkeep and her lifestyle and all that kind of stuff. And she now regrets. She wants to go back, and now her husband has also remarried.
Oh, I think I've seen that post. Yes, he ended up remarrying. He remarried, but then he's married to the lady
he was cheating with.
Yes. And she left him.
Yes.
For.
And now she's cheating. Her husband has remarried, and now she wants her husband back. She's trying very hard to get her husband back, and then they end up starting an affair, all over. So she's now a girlfriend to her husband, and now a girlfriend to another man. Can you imagine?
Why complicate
your life?
Well, we're going back to the initial issue of the paternity fraud, and I would admit that there are cases of stolen babies at various hospitals, and there was a popular case of a woman who had birthed, and the DNA test conducted showed that the baby was not the husband's child. The woman was adamant that she hadn't gone anywhere, she hadn't been intimate with anyone, and so it couldn't be, because she can vow by all the deities, all the rivers, that she hadn't slept with anyone. Nobody has poured it in her apart from her husband. And so when it became so crucial and the elders were brought in and the woman was very firm, the decision was taken that the DNA should be done on the mother also. The test should be done, the maternity test should be done on the mother to see if it is compatible with the child. And when that was eventually done, it proved that the baby was neither of theirs. Which means it was a foreign baby that was, exchanged for her. So it means their baby was out there and another baby was rather insected. And so, listeners, there is the rare case or cases of such. But aside that, those are the exceptions. The norm is that when it comes to paternity fraud, the women indeed allow others to pour their seed in them. And so the question then is, why want to have your cake and eat it? If you are a married woman, the rites have been performed for you to become a legally married woman.
Which not every woman gets a chance to enjoy. And there's some single women out there too. Let me put that out there.
Exactly. So you are supposed to work within the confines of marriage.
Thank you.
If whatever happens, you met an old flame,
so
and you were to...
Is it to say that women who are single, right, or have children, I mean, an unmarried woman who has a child
out of wedlock
with someone out of wedlock. I'm not talking of divorcee single mothers. I'm talking of any woman who has had a child out of wedlock is assumed automatically to be promiscuous.
No.
You see, that is why I'm trying to get into some of the thoughts process.
I haven't made such a submission.
No.
Well, I made a submission, and she asked her 2 questions. I've only answered one. I was going to get it to the second one.
Let me hop in so that you wrap it up.
Okay.
So, for whatever reason for which you got pregnant out of wedlock or not with your husband, if it was because you met an old flame and had sex, why are you reckless? Because you can still have sex with an old flame and use protection. You can still have sex with an old flame and still use after morning pill. Because if you do not intend getting pregnant, it is indeed that you can't protect yourself. It isn't as it used to be that you'll be helpless. Even back in the day, there were herbs and seeds that you can chew that kill sperm. The neem leaves are there. If a man does not want to procreate, he just takes neem leaves, boils, and drinks. Within 3-day period, he can have sex without actually it causing. So the elders knew these things. But for the women also have years. So the question I asked, why I am perplexed with this issue of paternity fraud is, let's say you met an old flame. Cephas back in the day was your heartthrob. After 30 years, you meet Cephas, you're like, God damn, Cephas, I'm going to have a piece of you. Fine, you want to have a piece of Cephas. It is wrong, but at least there are precautions. There are things you could have done not for you to travel to pregnancy and birth. So, an old flame, yes, you have gotten pregnant. Let's say for another reason, you went to a festival and was in a moment of weakness, met a fine guy, you were dying for this man. Maybe when you were young, macho men were your thing, and you meet this macho man at the funeral or at the festival, and you get it on one night stand. You didn't use protection, which was reckless again. Why not take your lead here? Why not just take your lead here to protect yourself? Even though, yes, there's a possibility of failure, but at least you have about 90% chance of it safeguarding you. If you so wanted to keep your marriage, why not guard yourself? Yes, you have, because most men will tell you it isn't the eating. Yes, sometimes it will play in our minds, and one of the weakest stars you give us, my man will wonder, so you gave this to me. You gave this star to the Cephas? And like, I can't forgive this one. But even with that, after some time, they can cool off.
When men start to, I'm coming. Anytime I tend to get this thought process from men as to why they feel the way they feel when a woman cheats on them, or in this case of paternity fraud and all that, then I come back to ask, I'm always asking this question. Why is it that high society men recycle the same women amongst themselves?
All right, we'll come to that. I'm airborne. Let me land. If
you have a circle of 10 high society men, do you understand? And in that circle, socially, there are 20 women that are within that social circle of maybe they are being socialites or come from similar families and stuff like that. You get it? These 10 men with these 20 women or 15 women or whatever, this will marry this is this person's ex-boyfriend, this is this person's ex-wife, this is this person's baby mama. Like, all the 10 have had something to do with all the 20 women. You get the point I'm making? So if
it is economic discrimination.
If what I'm
it is
saying,
economic discrimination.
What I'm saying is, if it all has to do with the ego, the pride, the this, the that, and that, the da of men, why is it that with high society men recycling the same
it is economic economic discrimination?
Okay, it's not, I don't know, but any man that is outside the circle of high society men, all right, does not see the high society man as being undervalued, or the woman he's with as being undervalued.
Let me answer your question.
Simply because they're high society.
Let me answer your
or
question.
for them, those rules do not apply to them.
It is economic discrimination.
Let me answer your question. If you are used to a certain kind of thing, right, and you don't want to go below that level, you get me? Because your case, like you said, high society. Okay, I'm not in high society, so I can't say what they do and condone and understand and agree with all the things they're doing. But based on my perspective, I believe they understand, they speak a certain language, and they believe those women, the reason for them to recycle them is because they also understand the language that they speak. So if we both speak the same language, why should I go out of my way to go below that level where is me? That means I'm going to be exposing myself to more risk. Because if I'm high value and I know I'm a multimillionaire and I know the kind of wealth that I have and the kind of people and women that it would attract.
So you stay within your circle.
Of course, I'm coming.
So
Let me land.
Those girls,
Let me land.
Are not streets like how it is.
No, not streets. No streets. They are
still women of value.
There's a level of trust.
Each and like almost all of, at least out of that societal circle, at least she's been in and out of relationship with a minimum of about 3 and a maximum of about 7 out of the 10. Does that? I mean, so then she's still a lady of value simply because she's high society.
No, it's not. No. I'm trying to share perspective with you. It's not the recycling. It's the exposure to risk as high value men. I wouldn't go out of my way to go date someone. Let's say, for instance, if I'm high value, I wouldn't go out of my way to date someone who I know at the end of the day I stand at a higher risk should in case things go south. You get what I'm saying? I'd rather stick to the ones that I'm familiar with. At least she's from a good home. She's okay. She's reckless. But I mean,
you'll not be fleeced.
She's not out.
You'll not even be fleeced.
She's not out for my money or my high value or my status or all that. Because she's also exposed to that. You get me?
She's also a lady of
class,
of high society.
Exactly.
Okay. When I mentioned economic discrimination, you didn't listen. That is what it is.
Yes,
it's economic discrimination because the East Legon people, the Transaco people, is not going to come to Choco to come and date a girl from Choco.
Exactly.
It's not coming to Bechele to go through those nasty streets to Bechele or go to Bebese.
I mean,
so you should understand that it is economic discrimination because they see us as peasants. They're not going to come down and come and frolic with a peasant and dirty their attire.
That's what I'm saying. So even drivers,
it's economic discrimination.
If you've driven a Rolls Royce for your boss and you finally now you change it and say you're going to drive a Toyota, you'd be like, no, man.
Even though you are just a driver, you don't own it.
You don't own
but
it.
the comfort of driving and the prestige it brings you. That's
what I mean by. So now you get my point now. So I was trying to make a point.
Cephas,
yes.
Could you let me, because I was airborne and
please go ahead.
Nita here. Nita here had kept me airborne. I need to land. My plane is.
Go ahead, bro.
So folks, this is the thing. So for whatever reason, you don't want to perpetuate paternity fraud. There are mitigations along the line that you could have used for you to not reach paternity level.
Okay, so for you to get to that point.
So for you to be reckless, and for you, after the recklessness, to be so devious, to now want to pass a pregnancy from someone else to another. And mind you, when a child is birthed, all other things being equal, the father or the parents are supposed, or are all other things being equal, responsible for the child for 30 years. So you are passing on a pregnancy or a child to someone to cater for their well-being for 30 years. Jesus, 30 years.
You see, this thing, it all boils down to one thing that most women lack, which is accountability. Because if you take accountability out of the equation, it opens the door for every other thing.
That's it.
If, for instance, let me land. No. Don't deceive yourself, and don't deceive.
It's not a man and a woman
battle. Don't deceive
battle.
yourself and don't deceive our audience, please.
It's not a man and a woman battle.
We all know. The fact, listen, right now, if a macho man comes here, right, you see someone who's built and fit. Aside, for me, like I said, I don't just see the physical. I look beyond. I go into the thought process, the rationale behind. What does it tell me? It tells me he's a disciplined person. It tells me someone who's dedicated. It tells me is someone who is able to transform nothing to something. It tells me someone who is, when he sets his mind on something, he doesn't stop. He's relentless in achieving it. The same way, if I see a woman who does that, what does it tell me? It tells me someone who lacks accountability. Like Mystic Mike said, there are measures you could have taken to mitigate or to not escalate it to the point of you having a kid out of the marriage, out of your recklessness, out of your misbehavior, and pushing it on there or shoving it under your husband's throat as his. So, one, it tells me you're a disloyal person. What do you call it? Untrustworthy. Someone who lacks accountability. Someone who, let me put it in tree, onya bonia onya ukunkro betumi akum. You get what I'm saying? So if you know, and someone who lacks values and morals, if you know your let's say, for instance, if you're not a Christian, you're a Muslim or a traditionalist, if your religious background doesn't convict you of all the evil that you are doing or what you're doing is leading you to, then it tells me that you have no conscience. And once you don't have no conscience, the accountability the accountability that I was talking about is left ajar. So all these things are invited in. If, for instance, right now, whatever behavior you're doing, how I see it is, let's take, for instance, if you go to a VIP station right now, you see them shouting, Kumasi, Takrade, Kwewu, then. If I know I am not going to Kumasi, I'm not going to Takrade, I'm not going to Techiman, I'm not going to board those buses. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to Nungwa, I'll go look for Nungwa car. So whatever you're doing, what I'm trying to say, I'm saying this to say that whatever you're doing is leading to something. If the destination is leading you to, is not where you want to end up at, just rethink your decisions and your choices and reroute your decisions. Because if you know it's going to lead you into lying to your husband and into making you look like a untrustworthy person, an unaccountable person, a disloyal person, just reroute it. Because you can see, we can make all the excuses. Oh, it's an old flame. But that is you justifying the wrong. You get me? That is you justifying the wrong. So from the get-go, once you see it, you know what? This road, I know this is where it is going to lead me to. This is not where I want to end up. This is not how I want my life to end up as. you've seen and you've thought about it beyond that. That is that. And how would that make me look in the eyes of my husband? You respect him because you could have, but you didn't. You thought about it. I mean, as annoying as your husband may be, or as then weak in bed or whatever he may be, you still had that love and that respect and that trust for him that, you know what, he's a man of value. He's provided for my family. He's provided for me. He's placed a lot of value on me by doing the necessary and doing the needful to get me to have a status of a wife in society, and all the benefits and the privileges that come with being a wife.
And it's not lost on me that there are grave consequences and very stark reality associated with coming out with the truth. If within a time frame you've not slept with your husband and you slept with whoever and got pregnant, it is clear to you already that this is not your husband's child. And so it's not lost on me that when you come out to confess to your husband, like, I'm sorry, I messed up, I got pregnant by another man, but I respect you enough to let you know the truth. I'm not going to pretend this is your baby and put it on you. The reality on the ground is you could be sacked from the house. It's a basis. It's a basis for divorce because your husband has something concrete to stand on. Yeah. You could lose your standing in society, the level you've been raised to. You could lose it. If you don't have any savings, or your own life can become very difficult indeed, and you face homelessness even. So it is not lost on me, and I understand these are the considerations that force many to pretend that said babies are their husbands.
But you see, I still want to get the reason why the focus of paternal fraud is centered on
who does it women. Who does it more? Men don't do paternal fraud.
No.
I get what it's not an attack on women, but
no, I'm not saying
no. You say what? Married women?
Yes,
married women
centered on married women.
Not girlfriends.
As to say, so for me, it
is in the context of marriage that these things happen.
Like
it is not only.
No, it is only in marriage that is legitimate. So when it happens in the confines of marriage, it is illegal. It is wrong.
A boyfriend.
I'm glad that Mr. Mike mentioned all the consequences. All the things he stated. I'm coming. All the things he mentioned are the consequences of your actions that you stand to face for your actions. For your actions. So if you are married, and you are in the confines of marriage, the laws, for instance, if you go to the US, you're in Ghana, all right, but when you go to the American embassy, they are not governed by the Ghanaian law to some extent because you are in the confines of the American embassy. Yeah. Same applies to the UK. Same applies to every embassy in the world. That's the reason why when something happens,
you can run to the gate
of the embassy. So I'm coming. Let me land. You can run to the gate of the embassy. So therefore, if you are in the confines of a marriage, I do, you do. We've agreed. We've bonded. A man will leave his father's house and come in the back.
She understands
together.
That one she understands.
Right.
She's talking about girlfriend, boyfriend.
So whatever happens in that marriage is within, and the laws of the marriage or the institution, the marriage as an institution, is applied there.
Nita,
it is not.
I'm answering yours.
As a girlfriend,
even with girlfriend, boyfriend.
What I am saying is, the kind of information, that in terms of our audience or our viewers, right? It's not everybody that would be on the same wavelength with us. There are those that would be younger. You get it?
Okay.
Now, being the devil's advocate and dumbing down my thought process or intelligence.
Okay, so you want to include the ones that are girlfriends.
If I dumb it down, right, the information I am receiving is that any woman who is single automatically is promiscuous.
No.
Number one. Wait, I said if I'm processing it that way, dumbing myself down, automatically is promiscuous. Number two, unless a child is born within marriage and has been determined otherwise, that the father of the child and the spouse or the husband is not the father of the child, then every child born by an unmarried woman is questionable. You get the point I am making? Do you understand?
Come again.
Recapture what you just
I'm
said.
saying that if we are centering the conversation of paternity fraud within only the context of marriage, meaning that the information that is being sent out there, do you understand, is that any woman who is single is promiscuous.
You've stated that already.
Number two, he asked me, I'm picking it up from.
Is that one we didn't get?
Number two is the fact that it means that unless a child is born within the confines of marriage and otherwise the paternity has been disproved, that it is not the spouse or the husband is not the father of the child, then it means that for every child that has been born to a single woman, paternity is questionable. Do you understand me?
I get your point.
I am saying that if I want to dump myself
So those are the
down,
2 points, or you have more?
No. If I want to dump
let me
myself
come in.
That's a good
that's
point.
the point, yes.
But
Let me come in.
Let me speak my God.
So even with unmarried women who birth, there can be a competent, financially sustainable woman who births with a man and does not need financial input from the man. Even with that, the birthed child, him or herself, will require from the mother that who is my father. Even if the woman is self-sufficient, takes care of the child from kindergarten, primary, GSS, even right from primary, the kid will start as where is my daddy? So the duty of care from the mother or the woman to the child requires that the source of the paternity is identified. So that you can relay that information to the child for him or her to know this is my daddy. Whether he's dead, whether he's overseas, whether he's whoever, this is my daddy. Because there are cases where women cannot identify who their children's daddy is.
So it brings me back to what I'm saying, that the kind of information, in terms of information being processed, if I should dump myself down, and please, if I say dump, it's not to say people are stupid, it's just to buttress a point. Okay, if I should dump myself down to that level where the in terms of thought process or orientation, it's not at par or on the same wavelength as having a conversation in our regular viewers. Do you get it? There is this information that is being, or this school of thought that is being sent out there, that as long as a woman is unmarried and has a child as a single woman, she's promiscuous, and the paternity is uncertain.
Okay.
As long as a woman is single and can show who the father is,
so
there's no problem.
So you are buttressing my point.
So
that you are buttressing the point I am making. Because you are stressing it, meaning that any woman who is single and unmarried is promiscuous and does not.
If you are
you can be promiscuous.
Concerning about the paternity.
You can be single
and you're married.
You can be single and promiscuous.
If you are single and you're married, right? Mama Mabisa say, "Oko ye day." First of all, if we look at it from the religious aspect, you're a Christian. It is said that kids, for them to be legitimate, must be within the confines of a marriage. So if they are not within the confines of a marriage, I'm coming. Wait. So on that moral grounds, if you want to see it as promiscuity, which it could be, but it may not be. It could be that you were raped. It could be that you were whatever. You were lured with money and you were promised to get married to at the end of it, but it didn't happen. Which I understand. Recently, I was having a chat with a legal person, like a legal practitioner, was saying you can actually sue and get some, because it's fraud as well. With that being said, if you look at it from the moral grounds, it is not right to be having illegitimate kids. Because let's say for instance, let me also see from this perspective. Realistically speaking, like what Big Mike said, right? You could have someone who is a lady who is financially stable. She's of an age where she sees that there's no marriage coming. And she's growing. Her eggs are every month, they are just wasting away. She wants to have a kid. So she just decides to get a guy, have whatever, do whatever, and then have a kid so she can raise. She can prove the paternity of the father, the kid's father. That is out of the question because she decided to do that, which is not right, but it's in the legal sense gives room for the fact that we know the paternity, we know the father of the child. It could be that the father of the child will still be in the kid's life when the kid grows up. When even without the kid asking, because like Mixed Mike said, kids will obviously want to know. Why is everybody's dad coming? Imagine they are in a school together. Every kid is coming to school with their parents are coming to school, PTA, visiting hours and all those things, visiting and all those kind of stuff. And then me, every time my mom is coming, if it's not my mom, it's my grandma. You start asking questions, even if you don't ask the questions, even if the kid doesn't ask. His friends, the students, kids, they talk, and then they start asking, you your mom, your dad, are you Jesus Christ? That kind of. They'll start making fun and be mocking him and all that. He'll be agitated and want to know. So with that being said, if you can prove, at least, even if you have kids or you have a kid out illegitimately out of the confines of marriage because you're not married and you feel you're of age and you want to have a kid, there's a level at which you still, the father or the man still has access to the kid. Allow that to happen. So
then both of you are basically concluding and affirming what I'm saying, that per the school of thought, any woman who is single and has a child outside the confines of marriage, generally or assumingly is promiscuous and does not know there's a
stigma attached to it.
The certainty or
there is a stigma attached to it.
The certainty of the paternity.
There's a stigma attached to it. That's why we have a word like bon one.
Let me come in.
Not everybody likes bon one. Not every guy would want to be with a woman who already has.
So let me come in. Nita, when you ask your questions, you must be prepared to listen to the answers.
Exactly.
You must
no matter how hard it is.
Keep an open mind. Because I'm refuting your assertion and you don't want to listen. You're not listening.
I'm very specific
because I can tell you that single mothers, there's a single mother out there who can tell you that I was promiscuous, but I know the father of my child.
Yeah.
I am telling you.
You do not get the question.
That there can be a single mother who is a single mother and is telling you that yes, I have multiple partners, but I shadowed them in such a way that on this day, the window of me taking seed is still free.
There was a roster.
There was a time frame. I have single partners, but I know that within this period, it is only a Sylvie who could have gotten me pregnant.
I'm not talking.
So I'm a single mother. I'm promiscuous, but I know the dad of my child.
Okay, so then you see,
I'm answering your question.
there are also women out there who can't even tell.
First of all, the question is not about single mothers, because a widowed woman can be a single mother. I'm talking about a single woman, a woman who is single and has children, meaning that a woman who's never married before. And you have just affirmed it.
What have I affirmed?
You've just affirmed it that.
What have I affirmed?
Affirmed the thought that once a woman is single and has even had a child or has children with different men, you may not even know the circumstances under which those things happened. Yeah. You get it, but you are certain and you are insisting on that assertion that then she's promiscuous, meaning that it brings me back to what I'm saying.
So I refute the assertion that that Nita is positing, that every single woman with child was promiscuous. I haven't made such a submission on this show, because indeed there are single women with child who know the daddy of their babies. And the topic for discussion is paternity fraud. Women passing off babies to daddies who do not own them for them to raise. And so I do not think every single woman who has child was promiscuous, because some indeed could be single, but they know the daddies of their babies. See, so let's wrap it up.
Well, I don't subscribe to what you just said. Let me just put it out. We've in this day and age, we've come to normalize sex and immorality as the norm of the day, where everybody can just meet someone and just have an affair and have a kid and be like, oh, I'm just living my best life. No. With everything you do, there are consequences to it. Even we as human beings, we have laws and rules governing our society that we live in. How much more the God that created the entire universe? You think he doesn't have laws governing us? Of course, there are universal laws. If you don't know about them, they say the negligence of the law doesn't make you, innocent. So you being negligent of the universal law of the biblical laws, it's not an excuse, but it doesn't make you innocent as well. So thank you for that. But then, with that being said, you not knowing the laws of the universe or the universal laws that God put in place doesn't mitigate you not facing the consequences of your actions.
All right, folks, this has been another session on the Spill the Tea podcast series discussing paternity fraud. It's been a heated one, and do share your thoughts on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, even on the YouTube channel when the video airs on Thursday, 10 a.m. For those who are active on social media, try and watch Paternity Court. You'll see the judgments when the DNA test is revealed, where women come to court, pinpointing pregnancies on males, and then when it checks out, it's not this one, the judge asks, do you have other pool of men who could be responsible? And then they sheepishly look at the judge and say, well, I'll bring another set the next court. Sex is a life we face as men. And so DNA has made it easier. Unlike back in the day, if you have doubts about any baby being put on you, go and have a DNA test done. It's cheap. Going for your 2,000, 1,000 and what have you. You could know your faith and not raise a kid for 30 years, 40 years before being told that this was not your child. Until our paths cross again, as if you didn't know already, it's cut high for now.